Um, Last week I got some phone calls, humbling phone calls. People were calling and they said they trusted my advice and they wanted some advice on who to support in this election with Local 234. And I came to the agreement that I would put some things out there that hopefully give you guys some insight on some things, or open your eyes. Bear with me. I don't have my reading glasses, but I'm gonna try to do the best that I can without them. Um, One thing was this week I received the On the Move. On the Move, which all you guys know is the newsletter that the union puts out, keeping the members informed of what's going on. And it says basically the company keeps shooting itself in the foot. That's the heading on the. It's the heading. The company keeps shooting itself in the foot. Basically, they're speaking about, from their view, the company is trying to push members into taking and filing their situations in federal court. Um, when we have a great arbitration system set up, and contractually, cases should go to arbitration before they go to any other entity. One of the things about arbitration is it's just been said that the small guy and the union wins arbitrations more frequently. I don't have an opinion on that. Anyway, so the stance of the union hall basically is, that's it's just that one thing, that they no longer, not no longer, the company is pushing for everything to go to federal court now as opposed to arbitration. The thing I can't understand is in this On the Move, they clearly say it. What do we have to go to federal court for? We have collective bargaining. You can force the company to go to arbitration. You can force them to go to arbitration. Okay? That's our first step. I believe that the leadership has lost its power. They've lost their want to fight for the members. Let's read between the lines of what they're saying in this On the Move. They're advising us, if you're being done wrong, file in federal court. Without the assistance of the union. So the union is setting itself aside. We're going to move, because if you go to federal court, they're not going to federal court with you. You have to hire your own attorney to go to federal court, or try to proceed pro se, which is basically, pro se means you're going to represent yourself. And to my understanding from the light little practices that I do, it's difficult to represent yourself in federal court. They don't assign you co-counsel on civil matters. If it was a criminal matter, they would assign you co-counsel, where somebody would go along with you step by step to make sure that you're within the precedence of the cases, that you're within the statutes and guidelines. So again, in my opinion, for them to put this out, they've given up. They don't want to fight. All the leadership has to do is file for arbitration. And if the company doesn't accept, then you move forward from there. It's a dead win. Then we win by default if you file arbitration. They go on to speak about how the guard has changed and labor relations department is woefully inexperienced. I think the leadership is shooting themselves in the foot. Because if labor relations is woefully inexperienced, why do we have so many members that are being discharged right now. The last 3 years, alarming numbers. Discharges is an all-time high. Alarming numbers. So they go on to say that the position that the company takes for litigation is far greater financially than just going to arbitration. It's a nonprofit. It doesn't cost them anything to fight an arbitration. It's not their money. Again, I believe this is a way of the leadership bailing out, trying to make excuses for not filing arbitrations, which they clearly, oh man, there's so many letters out. I just got a letter. They don't feel as though after the executive board looks at it that they're going to take your case to arbitration. Pointing fingers, they deflecting. It's not so much the company. The company has got nothing to lose. It's house money. The leadership doesn't want to go to arbitration. And it just makes you say, Later on in the newsletter, flip to page 2, they talk about the social media policy that was inducted back in January, mid-contract, which I think I told y'all back in January, they couldn't add that. We mid-contract. That's an unfair labor practice. For the life of the contract, whatever set aside in the contract and signed off on is what will go on for that extended period. They could not change or add a social media policy mid-contract. So the union goes on to say that the stance is basically, like I said, they don't have the right to impose policies without negotiating with the union. So there it is. They said no member has been disciplined as a result of the policy. Now, again, this is the union words. Are they shooting themselves in the foot again? Let's break this down and pay attention to the details. We spin back. I believe in February, I did a live and I explained to you guys how I was being retaliated against and, the toxic environment and the hostile environment that was created towards me since I've been back to work by the employer. Remember I showed y'all a copy of this subpoena that came from Facebook? In this subpoena, Facebook asked for all correspondences between Joseph Bryant, Michael Keller, and Mike Jones. So, okay. The union says no members were disciplined. Were they harassed? I'm going to just get this stuff to y'all, and I'm going to let you draw your opinions. Were they harassed? Was I harassed by way of the company with the social media policy? Did the union file anything? Did they notify Joe? Well, then I guess, we can say, well, Joe, did you tell the union? Did you notify the union that the company was requesting your Facebook information and you believe it was an attempt to harass you? What I'm getting ready to show you is these are numerous text messages that I sent to Brian Pollock and Avion Dent since I've been back to work. Oh, I'm sorry. And the chairman at Callawhill, Ricky Brown. Numerous text messages. So I printed them out. Most of the text messages you'll see, I got the numbers on there so you can see who I'm corresponding with. Okay. Miss Dent. That's the request. I'm telling them about the social media policy and I'm being harassed. Ricky Brown. Text messages to Ricky Brown. There it is again, Miss Dent. They don't want to fight for us, people. They don't want to fight for us. Good morning, Brian. Text messages to Brian Pollock. And this is the ironic thing about these text messages. I was very, very careful what I put in these text messages so it was all pre-planned. And I put thought into this. These text messages, I wanted to make sure, because I already knew the stance that they were going to take. They weren't going to answer me. They don't care about the membership. So what I did with the text messages, I carefully made sure that I placed each one of them's names in the text messages. And I carefully watched how they would respond to some of the things that they wanted to respond to. If it had anything to do with me being discharged or a hearing, then they would reply. If it had anything to do with a request that I was asking for, some protection, or, is anybody going to file? No replies. I just recently got a letter from the union and it was certified. So it's basically telling me that I was written up and they upheld the write-up, labor relations, upheld the write-up where the company outrightfully discriminated against me. They're telling me that I'm still on discipline from 2011. The discipline is clear. When you go on a step of discipline, if you don't have another infraction, after 730 days, discipline will be rescinded. You'll be made whole. Okay? So, I received this discipline 2011. That's up to 2015. No, I'm sorry. 2016 is when I got incarcerated. Way over 730 days. Reinstated back. My reinstatement date is March 5th, 2018, which gives an additional almost year, maybe? Year and change. But they upheld this step of discipline. So I say that to say, later on it goes to say, the union solely stands against any discrimination of an employee. Paperwork don't lie. So the company basically saying they upheld the discipline, that I was done wrong. My stance was I was being discriminated against. The reason why I can prove I was being discriminated against was the union already knows this. I have 2 cases. Caucasian males out of Comley. Who basically, they were on a step of discipline. They were on a step of discipline and allowed to serve 730 days. These guys clearly went into the book, had FMLA, sick occurrences, emergencies at home, all type of things. Given no discipline, allowed to serve their 730 days. Let off of discipline. So I'm confused because our great leader said that, I think it's in my other envelope, I don't have present now, but our great leader said that nobody had been discriminated against. And this is what he want public. He went public and said this. When the reporters asked him if this stuff was going on except with this toxic environment, they asked him, was this stuff going on? He clearly said it. No, there's no discrimination. These are disgruntled people. Here's the case here. Out of Comley. Guy's name is well, I'm not going to disclose the person's name. I think I better refrain from that. But this is one case. Just flash it. I don't want person's name involved. And is that it? That's the second case. See, nobody got discriminated against. Both of these are Caucasian males. I got 4 more cases actually. So I say that to say, people are asking me, who should I support? Who should I follow? And our great leader now is talking about experience and what we're going to need. We're going to need experience. We had experience 8 years. Prior to 8 years, what has it gotten us? We're in bad shape. We're in bad shape. So why not step out and try something different? If you want something different, you have to do something different. I'm endorsing Michael Benty. I personally spoke with Michael Benty, and Michael Benty assured me that he was going to bring on, I don't want to put the names out there, as veteran leadership. Some very, very, very strong, popular, previous people that have occupied the Union Hall. I just say that to say, why we keep listening to this dude lies? Every time somebody becomes credible to run in office, y'all know what happened. You see what he did with me. You know Joe was going to beat him. Joe was going to make a change. But Joe wasn't good for politics because Joe doesn't stand down. We can't get dirt on Joe. We can't get Joe to contradict himself. Y'all do the math. He clearly says it. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. It's gotten us nothing. What, a raise? Going to get a raise anyway. Cost of living. Our contract doesn't call for a cost of living raise, so they pretty much almost got to give us a raise. It's the only thing he's gotten us. All we doing is giving back, giving back, giving back, and the members being walked out the door, walked out the door, walked out the door. There you go again, he shoots himself in the foot. Performance that counts.